If we understand what kinds of data we have, then we can begin to start analyzing. Okay, but first we need to organize the data in some form so we can do those counts, we can do those comparisons, we can do the kinds of analysis that we want. Okay, so here from the data we got from Google, we organize the data. We actually Google organizes the data into spreadsheet form, which you can download. But if we were doing paper type survey and we were manually entering them into our computer, this is how we would put them, encode them. We would put them into digital form, ready for analysis. So in this example, we used Excel. Okay, and here's the general layout. Regardless, just as an example, here's what I would recommend. Each horizontal row. So when you lay out your spreadsheet, so each horizontal row should represent all the data from one respondent or case. So, okay, the very first row. Okay. So here, the row contains all the answers of respondent 1 to each item in the survey. So for each respondent in the survey, there is an identification number. Okay, just an identification number so that we can check later, but we don't have the name. We don't match the responses to the names of the respondents. Okay, so as you go from left to right, you can see, okay, what was the response to the question about city or municipality? So that's Bohol. What sector are they in? So accommodations. If they're type of accommodations, then what type of accommodation? So resort. And then here you have their responses to each of the open-ended questions. Okay. And then each vertical column, okay, so each vertical column represents one variable in the survey. Okay, so the variables are also referred to as fields. Okay, the first row in the database, so row number 1, okay, shows the titles of each variable or the assigned name. So we just put in names just so we know what variable it is. Okay, assigned names of each variable or field in the survey. These become the headings for each column in the database. The variable names are simply codes that we use to represent the questions in the original survey. Okay, so for example, the heading for column 1 is ID, that's identification number. Column 2 is city. Okay, is the city, that's their response, and then from the city we just identified what province it is, what region it is. Okay, and then the next question was, what sector of the tourism industry are you in? So we just assigned the title of business. Okay, we could still put in sector, but and then from that, and then sector, and then what type of accommodations. And then here, for example, you have this is the question on operations under ECQ, and then employee support. A question about how do they support their employees, and then a question about what are their needs, current needs, and then the other one was what are their post-recovery needs. So all of these are just assigned titles or names for the variables. Okay, so here's an example of one variable. So this variable, which we labeled as ECQ ops, captures all the responses to the question of what is the state of operations now under ECQ. So under this column you have all the responses of all participants to the survey. If you remember, it was an open-ended question, and that's why the data is like this. For example, the response here, first respondent was from a resort, and their answer was the resort in Bohol closed to tourists, but skeleton crew maintained security, engineering and maintenance, other back of house staff to ensure security of property and assets. The Manila office staff all work from home. Okay, so columns are variables or fields. The rows, which is horizontal, are cases or individual respondents. Okay. And the reason we also do this in this way, okay? Horizontal is each case or each respondent. Vertical, going up and down, is each field or variable. We do it this way because this is the format that most statistical software will recognize. If you do this in Excel, you can import this into, let's say, a statistical program like SPSS or R, or you can send it to a database, and then they will read it. They will be able to read it properly in the collect and put all the cases and fields in the proper order. Okay, so even if you're not using statistical software, this arrangement helps you to easily compare the respondents to each other. Okay, so again, horizontal, cases, vertical, or the pink is variables. Okay, and then the first row of the spreadsheet are the variable names or column headings. Okay, thank you very much.